Hi, and welcome to another episode of FPL Fanzone. My name's Nick, and in today's episode we're going to talk about the big debate which is in the FPL community at the moment, is which premiums do you have in your starting 11. So today we're talking about Trent AlexanderArnold, Mohamed Salah and Erling Haaland. Are they overpriced, overrated or essential? We're going to look at the data, and if you find this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. So without further ado, let's get started. So first up we have Trent AlexanderArnold. And now this is taking into consideration his stats from last season. Now first and foremost, he only started 25 games last season, which meant he missed 13 games. And that's been an increasing trend for Trent over the last couple of seasons. His number of minutes have consistently dropped due to injuries. So that's my first concern when I look at him. If you look at the actual total points scored last season, he was ranked 8th overall, which again means there were 7 defenders that you could have bought that were all cheaper than Trent, that all scored more points than him. Clean sheets, he was 19th, which, clean sheets are the biggest points that you can get from a defender, with 5 points for a clean sheet. Goals scored, he was 5th highest with 3. Assists, he was 7th highest with 5. Expected goal involvements, he was 2nd overall, only behind Pedro Porro of Tottenham. So despite having significantly less games, he's got expected goal involvement is very, very high. So if he is getting the minutes, then obviously he's a great asset to have in terms of attacking a threat. But the clean sheets is still a big issue, or was at least last season for Liverpool. And then in terms of bonus points, because he is seen as a very attacking defender, he was ranked 3rd overall for bonus points amongst defenders. But all of that said, if you look at those numbers there, or his routes to points, he's not top of any of the rankings, but he is the most expensive, and that's purely based on if he can get the minutes. Right now, I think there's a lot of talk about where's his best position. Is it in the back at left back? Is it more as a wing back? Is it playing in midfield in that inverted role? With a new manager coming in as well, I just think there's too many unanswered questions. And while Trent AlexanderArnold can be explosive, I just think for me he's an avoid for now. Given his price point, you can get other defenders with better attacking stats like Pedro Porro for 1.5 million cheaper. You can get better clean sheets from Arsenal, Man City or Everton for 1 million or 1.5 million cheaper. And with price being very, very tight this year, with lots of the other prices going up, I would say for me, Trent AlexanderArnold is an avoid. And next up is Mo Salah. Now, Mo Salah currently, at time of recording, is 34% owned within the game. So 1 in 3 people have said, yes, I want Mo Salah in my team. Now, if we look at his stats from last year, you'll notice another trend that he only started 28 games. Now, he missed several games due to the African Cup of Nations, and then had a slight injury when he came back. But he still missed 10 games of the season, so a third of the season. The difference is with Mo Salah is that he has been a consistent 200 plus points scorer for many, many seasons. And in his very first season, he scored over 300 points, one of only, I think, 2 players to have ever scored over 300 points in the game. So consistently for 6 or 7 years now, he has consistently scored over 200 points. And last season, despite missing 10 games, was still the 5th ranked player, beaten by Cole Palmer, Son, Foden and Saka. If you look here, clean sheets aren't really a big route to points for midfielders, but they do get a point for every clean sheet. So if you compare him to someone like a Saka, for example, who got 16 clean sheets, or an Odegaard who got 19, there's a significant amount of points, 10, 11 points there that are at a difference in that as well. In terms of goals and assists, he's always up there. He's a main talisman up front for Liverpool. So, ranked 3rd in both of those with 18 and 12. And bearing in mind that he missed 10 games, he's always a consistent performer in those. In terms of his expected goal involvements, he was 1st overall out of all midfielders with 28.36, but you can see he actually delivered 30 goal involvements in his games that he played last season. So he's there or thereabouts, slightly overperforming his expected goal involvements. In terms of bonus points, he was 6 out of all midfielders. Obviously, the top one there being Cole Palmer last season. But again, he is the highest priced at 12.5 million. So nearly 2.5 million more than 2 million more than Cole Palmer and 2.5 million more than Son or Saka on that. So currently Salah is sitting in my team just because he's consistent. Yes, they have a new manager, but the fixtures are really good at the start of the season. There is a real argument to say that there are other options in and around his price point that could save you 2.5 million of Palmer, Foden, Saka and Son. I just think with Foden that he's not guaranteed minutes at the moment, but the other three are all really, really good alternatives to Salah that will get you consistent points and all scored more than him last year for a cheaper price. The other bit to consider is that if you wanted some Liverpool attacking cover, you could also consider the likes of Jota, Diaz or Darwin. But all of those have a minute's risk because there's so much attacking threat up front for Liverpool. Which one of those is going to start? Salah gives you penalties, he gives you consistent minutes when he's playing, and he's just really, really consistent overall. So currently he's in my team, but there is an argument to say that he doesn't need to be there. And last but not least, we have Erling Haaland, or Mr. Inevitable. Since he's joined the Premier League, he has absolutely smashed it out of the park. Now, last season he was actually second in terms of points scored, but a lot of that was due to the fact that he only started 29 games, so he himself also missed 9 games through injury in the middle of the season. And he was only outscored by Ollie Watkins, who got a huge amount of assists during his season. So in terms of goals, 27 last year, 36 the year before. So there's a real chance that he can absolutely fly again, and there's no one even close to him in terms of number of goals scored. In terms of assists, he was ranked 4th out of the attackers. Now, there's not a huge amount of depth when it comes to the attacking options up front in terms of premiums. You maybe look at Isak, you can look at now potentially Solanke now that he's moved to Tottenham, and then of course you've got Watkins as well. But outside of that, it starts to get a little bit lower down. You've got the Havertz, who's could be losing minutes to Jesus, for example. In terms of expected goal involvements, 31.75, he was top of the list. Bonus points for attackers, forwards, he was top of the list with 29 bonus points last season. And again, all of that with him missing 9 games. The big challenge with Erling Haaland is that his price is 15 million, which is 6 million more than the next forward of Watkins. And his ceiling is so high, you could easily see him scoring 300 points, having a full fit season. My challenge is just that 6 million spreads so much further around the rest of the team, which is the only reason that he's not in my starting 11 for this year. But looking at this data, you can see that he's top of all of the stats where his points are coming from. And just not having him just means I'm going to be worried about that in every Man City game as well. So maybe I need to rethink my strategy. But let me know what you think below. Who would you go for? Are you going for Trent? Are you going for Mo Salah? Are you going for Erling Haaland? Are you going for a combination? Or are you going for all three and then sacrificing elsewhere in your team? But again, let me know what you're doing in the comments and tell me where you think I'm going wrong. Once again, thank you for watching FPL Fanzone. Really appreciate your support in liking, subscribing to the channel and writing comments below on things that you think that I've got wrong or information that you'd like to see in future videos. It really helps the channel grow. So thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next episode.